Hey ladies and gentlemen, Stephen here from Redolessence and welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for joining me today. Really hope this video finds you well and I hope you're all keeping safe. Today I'm going to be talking about 5 great autumn/fall and winter fragrances from 5 different indie houses, so make sure to stay tuned. Now before I begin this video and I tell you what these 5 great fragrances for the fall/autumn but also the winter are from 5 different indie houses, I do want to say that if you are a fan of fragrance related content, if you like lists just like this video, but also fragrance reviews, top 10s, and pretty much anything having to do with fragrance, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. All you have to do is click on that red button in the corner, and of course while you're at it, please make sure to enable notifications by clicking on the bell. So here I have 5 indie houses, indie companies, and they all have an indie perfumer behind them, of course. And I think a lot of times there's a little bit of a debate as to what is considered artisan, what is considered indie, what is considered niche, and also what is considered designer. I do want you to know that at the end of the day, these are just labels, and I feel like in many cases labels are here to separate us, and I usually don't subscribe to a lot of these labels, but what I do want to convey is that under the definition of indie, it comes from the word independent, and these fragrances are independently made by a person, by a human. I know a lot of times when you visit flavor and fragrance company, as I have visited many of them throughout the past 8 years of me doing this thing on YouTube, you'll notice that a lot of times with these major flavor and fragrance companies, or in every case, they're made by robots, they're made by machines. So it's all a matter of putting in the information in a computer and it gets sent to the laboratory, and then the robot dispenses the liquid into an aluminum container, and that's the final product. Here you have perfumers, independent perfumers, that are making all of these fragrances by hand, using a scale, sourcing their own ingredients, looking all over the place online to where they can find the raw materials. And they're a lot of these people are autodidacts, they are self-taught, they do these things themselves. Maybe they'll watch videos or they'll read literature, maybe a combination of different things. But here we have 5 fragrances for the fall/autumn, but also the winter time, because I think a lot of these will be really good in the winter time, that are all handmade by independent perfumers. These are all indie brands, and I'm hoping that if there are some fragrances in this list that you've never heard of before, that this video will serve as an opportunity for you to discover some new fragrances. So the first one that I want to talk about is by Imaginary Authors, and this one is called Cape Heartache. I'm going to be honest, I cannot think about the fall or winter without thinking about this fragrance. Obviously, there are some other fragrances by the brand that I love. There's Memoirs of a Trespasser, which is a vanilla-based fragrance. There's also A City on Fire, which is this sort of cade oil birch tar type of a fragrance, definitely leaning in the smoky realm. And I like that fragrance, but I think it's a little bit more appropriate for the winter time. And it can also come across being a little bit harsh, right? So if you're not a fan of smoke, chances are you're not going to enjoy that fragrance, or fragrances like T-Rex by Zoologist, as well as many other fragrances, specifically ones made by Antonio Gardoni, who's another awesome perfumer, and I hope to feature his work in future videos. But in any case, today we're talking about Cape Heartache. This one is composed by Josh Meyer, and this one you need to know of 2 ingredients, pine and strawberry. So it has a sort of green balsamic effect to the perfume, which I really enjoy, but then you also have this fruity sweetness that is lended to the perfume by the note of strawberry, which I think makes it a really interesting and unique fragrance. Now there is a bit of a cheat sheet on the back. So there's Douglas fir, pine resin, western hemlock, vanilla leaf, strawberry, old growth, and mountain fog, with the latter 2 notes being imaginary notes, hence the concept of the brand. But amazing, always reminds me of a Christmas tree. Perfect for this time of the year. Guys, if you need a fragrance from the brand Imaginary Authors, this video is not sponsored by anybody, just had this idea at the last minute. I'm going to leave a link down below to where you can check out all of these fragrances, and this is definitely one of my favorites from the brand Imaginary Authors. Now, moving on to a different indie brand, and by the way, I should also mention, now that I thought about it, these fragrances are not in any particular order, although one of these is my scent of the day for today, and I'll let you know which one it is when we get to it. But these brands are in no particular order, so I don't want you to think that the number 1 spot, the brand that's in it, is better than the brand that's in the number 4 spot, and vice versa. So I just want you to know no particular order. So the next one is by Beech Giza, and it's called Juniper Java. Now, I know what a lot of you might be thinking. I'm not a fan of the note of juniper, and it's true. I'm not. I think a lot of times if it's synthetically made or if it's used in a synthetic fashion, it kind of conveys this feeling of astringency. I don't know if I'm making up that word, but it definitely has this astringent bite that I'm really not into, and I find it to be quite harsh. Here it just seems so natural, right? It's so natural, it puts you in tune with nature, and it definitely comes across as the type of fragrance that would make me feel more calm, serene, relaxed, just sort of, just putting you in tune with nature is the best way that I can describe this one. And of course, juniper or juniper berry is an ingredient that is found in nature, duh. But this one is an awesome scent, and I really like this one. Cocoa Moon, obviously, if you're a fan of the sweeter fragrances and the more fruity iterations in the perfume world, I think you're going to be more likely to enjoy Cocoa Moon. But Juniper Java is an awesome fragrance, and you can tell this one is no slouch in the performance department. And by the way, I should also mention that in the case of all of these fragrances, natural ingredients are used. I'm not saying that they're going to be 100% natural. Of course, you have some animal ingredients like musk, civet, castoreum, ambergris, where a lot of perfumers, for ethical reasons, decide to not use the natural counterparts of those ingredients. So maybe, ambroxan will be used in its place, but whatever. A lot of these companies do use natural ingredients, but oftentimes it's a balance of natural and synthetics. Moving on, this next one is by a company called January Scent Project, and the fragrance is called Burvuvu. And this one is composed by John Biebel, who is the perfumer for every single fragrance in this brand. Now, I know these products are available at Perfumology. I don't know if they're available anywhere else. I guess in my side of the world, I live on the East Coast, but I don't recall ever seeing them in any other boutique. So I'm just going to leave Perfumology's information down below. Again, not sponsored, just trying to help you out so you know where you can pick up these fragrances if you ever decide to either sample them, because in the case of this one, I know Perfumology does sell samples, so maybe you might be interested in checking it out. But this one is a cedarwood based fragrance, and let me tell you, this is one of the strongest performers in my entire collection. When you take a look at the color of the liquid inside, it's this really dark, warm, ambery hue, this sort of red sort of coloration here. It's an awesome woodsy red cedar, ambery, warm, rich sort of a fragrance. And I really love these types of fragrances, kind of veering in oriental territory on account of the amber, but it also has enough of those woodsy prominent ingredients in the base to really give it texture, definition, and depth. I think it's an awesome fragrance, and I'm definitely going to be wearing it a lot, not just in the fall, but in the winter as well. Some of these fragrances I feel like I wear exclusively in the winter, like Cape Heartache, although of course the sweetness with the strawberry makes it great for the fall. Some of these fragrances I wear exclusively in the fall, and then some of these I think are appropriate for both the fall and the winter. This is one where I feel like it might do a little bit better in the winter just because of how heavy it is, but if you're wearing it indoors, of course, wear it whenever you want, right? But it's an awesome fragrance. It has a lot of really unique ingredients in it as well. The next one that I want to talk about is by a company called Gallagher Fragrances. And of course, this company is several years old, and the perfumer Daniel Gallagher is a perfumer that I'm personally friends with. I will disclose that this bottle was sent to me for a review. I haven't done my review of it yet. I do apologize, Mr. Daniel, but I will be reviewing it very soon. And I try to be selective with the products that I review on this channel because we can't love everything, but this is one that I absolutely love. I know I always talk about how patchouli can present itself in several different forms, and a lot of times you have the really sort of dark, dry, bitter, herbal and earthy patchouli ingredients, of which I'm not a fan. And then of course you have the really warm, moist, I know a lot of people don't like that word, but the chocolatey patchouli ingredients. And this one not only has that variety of patchouli, but it also has chocolate in it. So it makes it the chocolatiest patchouli that you are likely to smell. It's a gorgeous fragrance. And just like Imaginary Authors, you have the cheat sheet here in the front. So the notes are orange citruses, frankincense, chocolate, patchouli, honeyed amber, and musk. I don't really get a lot of those musky animalic ingredients in here, but I think that Daniel Gallagher really knocked it out of the park with this one. And I actually smelled this some time ago because my friend Carlos visited me last week, I think it was, and he actually brought his bottle with him, and I know he got his review out of it, and so I'm gonna leave his review down below if you want to see his reaction to this fragrance, because he like flipped the switch when he smelled it. It's a really, really, really good fragrance. And what I like about, you know, indie fragrances in general, and I should probably mention this, is the fact that they will put out fragrances that smell like nothing else. They are so unique, and I know that when I'm smelling a perfume that was independently created or composed, I'm going to have a novel and unique olfactory experience, as opposed to something made on a mass level, let's say, or a mass marketed level, where I know it's kind of gonna veer in designer territory, and so it's not as interesting. Some of these fragrances, yes, they do push the envelope and they're interesting. Sometimes it could spill over into unwearable territory, but I must say these fragrances are 100% wearable. They're very polished, they're very well done up, and the number one fragrance on this spot, again, in no particular order, but it just so happens to be my scent of the day, so I saved it for last so I can talk a little bit about it, especially me getting wafts off my shirt. And I think I made a mistake because I sprayed on like 7 sprays, but in any case, this one I purchased with my own money several years ago, and this one by the company Slumberhouse is called Sova. So the perfumer for this is Josh Lobb, and he is an incredibly talented individual that utilizes some of the most strange, obscure, and unique ingredients that you can find. This one has poplar, this one has hops, it has beeswax, it has hay, it has a lot of really unique ingredients that you don't traditionally or conventionally find in perfumes. I made a mistake by spraying on 7 sprays. I didn't realize how strong it was going to be. You know, you smell it off the atomizer, and you know, smells can be deceiving in this case, but I did about 7 sprays, and that's all I smell right now. But I think a lot of it also has to do with the fact that there is a very large amount of naturals being used in here. And like I said, I purchased this many years ago, so it's been left to macerate for a very long time, and it is just so strong. Not only that, but all of these fragrances are very strongly concentrated. So also keep that in the back of your mind. These are not eau de cologne or eau de toilette, weaker types of fragrances, and this is really amazing. You have the hay, you have the beeswax, kind of putting you in the mindset of like a Chergui by Serge Lutens, but it's done so differently. It has that ambery touch about it, but it's not, how should I, it's different from Burvuvu, in the case that, you know, this one has a little bit more of this like powdery warmth in terms of the synesthetic image that I'm getting. In terms of this one is a little bit more woodsy and spiky on account of the red cedar. This one is a little smoother and maybe not as textured. That's really the best way that I can describe it. I know it's probably not helping much of you, but it's an awesome fragrance. And yes, you will get the hops in there, which might remind you of an adult beverage of some kind, but it's an amazing fragrance, and it's definitely one that people should not sleep on. All of these are really great fragrances. You know, even though some of them might utilize some ingredients that I'm not the biggest fan of, I think the way that they're utilized in these fragrances in particular, it's done in a way that is very enjoyable for me, and so I love speaking about them on my channel. And as I'm sure you know, some of these fragrances like this one and this one and this one I actually have spoken about before on my channel. So when there's a fragrance that I really love, chances are you're going to hear about it more than once from me. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. These have been 5 great, excellent fragrances for the fall/autumn, but also the winter time, that also happen to come from different independent brands. I hope to do more videos like this in the future, not necessarily exclusive to like fall and winter fragrances. It might be just fragrances for different occasions or fragrances to put you in a certain mood, but I would like to discuss more independent brands on my channel because I feel like niche and designer gets a lot of play and a lot of spotlight, and so I would like to shed that light on independent brands as well every once in a while, and we have a lot of great ones. And I've also made some significant purchases over the past couple of weeks of new releases that have been coming out from independent brands, so I hope to give those some coverage on my channel as well. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hey, if you took something of value from this video and you would like to support this channel, all I'm asking you to do is please subscribe to this channel by clicking on that red button in the corner, and of course click on the bell and make sure to enable all notifications, because YouTube will just delete deliver select notifications to you. So make sure that you click on that arrow or whatever it is next to the bell, and make sure that you click all notifications so that when I do publish this content, you will be notified about it right away. Thanks again for watching. I love you all, and we'll see you next time. Bye.